Hi, today's chat is gonna be me kind of being sad, but also me having a woke off with myself. Before I say anything, I just want to preface that I'm always learning and that I am always like in the process of trying to become more knowledgeable, more empathetic, and just a more compassionate thinker. So, let me know if any thoughts come up, and none of this is personal. If for some reason someone who knows me in real life is watching this, although I doubt it, I'm going to be talking about how I don't experience girlhood the same way that the media has been boosting the message of just being a girl, and how that's because of the color of my skin, the way that I look, um, the cultures that I grew up in, and how I feel very much excluded, and how that has brought me blessings, but honestly, mostly torment. Um, I will be referencing things lightly, one of them being this book, Hood Feminism by Mickey Kendall, that I'm in the midst of reading right now, and this book that I read last month, White Tears, Brown Scars by Ruby Hamad, How White Feminism Betrays Women of Color. When you see like a post of a deer or a lamb or a bunny all curled up and the caption says, oh, like me when I'm just a girl, I don't really feel completely represented in that, knowing that I have a cute bunny here. This is just because I think it's cute, but I don't feel like that's me. I think that that is a part of me, and that is definitely an element of who I am, but I do not feel represented by that. I don't think that that kind of cowering little cute thing is something that's deep inside of me. I think that that is something that I'm constantly having to assuage, and it doesn't feel like some huge, deep truth. Um, I think that a lot of young women of color, especially like daughters of immigrants, we go through this really intense parentification and growing up way, way too quickly than is appropriate for anyone. I personally dealt with having a brother who was treated way different than I was and always wanted to get the accolades. I was told I wasn't as smart by the entire world. I felt he was implicitly seen as more trustworthy, and I was simultaneously something that was too innocent and too advanced to go out into the world. Not even advanced, it was more of like a too precious. So I was in this very strange experience. Kendall calls this adultification, seeing these like young children of color for older than they are. For my brother, it very much was, oh my god, you're so smart. And for me, it was like, oh, you're so quiet, you're so understanding. And no one really asking why I was so quiet, and just thinking, oh, like, that I was just born like that for some strange reason. But having the experience of being that young person that was always the quiet one, there is always a reason that someone is so quiet. I don't believe that people are just born like that. I think that I learned that being quiet got me more safety than being louder. There's a very specific idea of what it means to be, a good young woman. Specifically for on my mom's side, which is Latino, there are very unspoken yet very deeply messaged ways of being a good daughter, a daughter who is very loyal to her parents no matter what they do or say, a girl who will welcome guests and take their coats and kiss and hug people and even men that she doesn't know without complaint, a girl who smiles and is a good conversationalist and asks the right questions but doesn't brag too much, but a girl who does enough to brag about that her mom can tell everyone else's mom and all of these things, and a girl who most of all is nice. Like, you meet her and she is just a blank slate and a mirror for you to reflect back on, and even double the image if it's, especially if it's a male. And for my dad's, on the Asian side, I didn't get much from him or his friends, but it was definitely a cultural messaging I got that, oh, like, Asian girls are so smart, they're so they're not attractive in any way. At least that's how I experienced it. If they weren't automatically this like sex symbol with insane curves at a very young age, the face was almost something that you could sacrifice to get to the body, and that because that's what you wanted. And I took these messages in as conflicting as they were, and they just all jumbled up inside of me, and the best that I could do was just to be quiet and to be scared and to shelter where I could find safety. I think as I got older and I learned that I was rewarded if I showed a little bit of like the spiciness that they were expecting of me, or if I could seem very smart, or if I studied really hard and I got good grades, that I could assimilate into these roles a little bit more. And subconsciously, I think people lowered their guard around me when they saw that I was a little bit louder and I was a little bit sassier than the quiet girl, and I was a little bit tougher around the edges like they'd expected from a girl who looked like me. And at the same time, I faced constant white anxiety from my earliest memories of being in a locker room and being asked, so where are you? And it becoming a game of like these guesses ping-ponging around the room. Someone's like El Salvador and someone's like Filipino, and I'm like, like, guys don't even know my name. Like, how could this possibly matter to you? And being in this body and being born in with the surroundings, both people and immaterial, that I had, it quickly felt like I was constantly negotiating my existence, and that I was literally making people's systems nervous just by being around. And I don't think that that is something that many white girls have. I think, that experience of getting catcalled in the street and wanting to get rid of your virginity but not seem like a slut, and like those kinds of very specific cultural entanglements have been visited upon me in points of my life, but I almost felt them as a badge of, look, I swear I'm not that different from you, like I'm just like you. And if I was ever lucky enough to be in a situation where the male gaze would deign to find little old me attractive, it felt like the biggest prize that had been bestowed upon me, that I wasn't causing anxiety, even if it was causing a sort of disgusting pedophilic lust. It was something that I felt proud of. And this is not to say that, that is any better of an experience. I also have had exchanges with people that have put me in really unsafe situations because of those desires, and it's not something that is a goal by any means. I do think that the biggest thing for me is that there's this lost sisterhood, a lost link between women of color and between white women, where white women are so entirely unawares of their privilege and how women of color are experiencing the world in such different ways that they will genuinely never grasp it. I feel like a lot of times in talking to white women, I will complain about something being sexist or something, even talking to queer women, something feeling homophobic to me. And they are so happy to agree with me and be like, "Yes, I understand." And then when I'm like, "This feels like because I'm brown and because I'm not white," they at best are agreeing with me, but oftentimes they're not even agreeing. It's a sort of curious hesitance. Um, but yeah, this is just to say that white women try to listen to your community that is not white, and this is my 2 cents for the day. I don't even know what this was.